Welcome back. So we'll continue from where we stopped. What is the tone of the excerpt above? Remember, we are looking at words here. A, subtle. B, kind. C, harsh. D, melancholic. The answer is harsh. You're looking at the use of words here in the excerpt given above. When the world outside swallowed them whole and spat out only rumors of their fate, what figure of speech is used in the above lines? A, synecdoche. B, oxymoron. C, irony. D, euphemism. The answer is euphemism because this expression has been put in a milder way. When the world swallowed them out, when the world outside swallowed them whole and spat out only rumors of their fate. In other words, you're looking at a scene of violence and then people who have died as a result of what they were known for. So it's a subtle way of putting this, and then it's euphemism. Now we're looking at recommended texts. We'll begin with Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. The first question, what does Mr. Bledsoe give the narrator when he's expelled? A, a scholarship to another school. B, a list of contracts for employment. C, a train ticket back home. D, a letter of recommendation that actually betrays him. The answer to this question is D, a letter of recommendation that actually betrays him. Remember, Mr. Bledsoe gave the narrator a letter, and on it read something like, keep this nigger running on it. So they kept passing the letter from one person to another, and that letter betrayed him. So nothing was said. Narrator was strict that there was a job waiting for him, but that wasn't what the letter read. The next question, what is the Brotherhood's main purpose? A, to promote racial equality and social justice. B, to protect the narrator from the police. C, to run underground resistance movement. D, to control labor union. The answer is to promote racial equality and social justice. That was what the Brotherhood stood for. But whether or not they kept to it, they did not stand by what they believed at the end of the day. So the answer is A, to promote racial equality and social justice. 23. Who is Reinhardt in Invisible Man? A preacher, gambler, conman who represents fluid identity. B, a leader of the Brotherhood. C, a childhood friend of the narrator. D, a professor who helps the narrator find his way. The answer is A, preacher, gambler, and a conman who presents fluid identity. Remember that at some point they actually thought the narrator was Reinhardt because he was going about with glasses and a hat. And they all pointed him out, thinking he was the Reinhardt character. We do not know who he is, but some of the characters in the novel believed he was a preacher. To some, he was a gambler. To others, he was a con man. So there is no actual personality to who Reinhardt is. 24. What does the briefcase the narrator carries throughout the novel symbolize? A, his rejection of societal expectations. B, his journey towards self-awareness. C, his desire for material success. D, his commitment to the Brotherhood. The narrator, though nameless, goes about with a briefcase as well. And so the answer is B, his journey towards self-awareness. 25. Why does the narrator retreat underground at the end of the novel? A, he is hiding from the police. B, he joins a secret society. C, he is trapped by Raz the Exalter's followers. D, he seeks to reflect on his identity and purpose. Remember, after the riot in Harlem at that point, he escapes and he runs into a manhole, and that's where the story actually begins, where he introduces himself as someone who is nameless and has light bulbs running with music playing in the manhole. So the answer is D. He actually escaped to reflect on his identity and purpose, who he is, because people didn't see him as a human being because he was actually black. So they wanted his idea from his interactions with members of the society. So escaping into the manhole gave him a time to reflect on his identity and purpose. 26. What does the narrator compare himself to in the prologue? A shadow. B, a ghost. C, a machine. D, a disembodied voice. The answer is B, a ghost, where it says, I'm an invisible man and some see me as a spooky character and all of that, and where he bumped into somebody and the person didn't really notice in the alley because it was dark. So at the prologue, he stated all of this, and the narrator sees himself as a ghost. We'll move on to Fences by August Wilson. 27. In what decade is Fences set? A, 1940s, B, 1970s, C, 1960s, D, 1950s. The answer is 1950s. The story was set in Pittsburgh, and it was set in the year 1950, where you have the major character like Troy and his son Corey with his wife Rose, and Troy was a garbage collector. So at that time, at that point, the novel was set in the 1950s. What is one of the major sources of conflict between Troy and his son Corey? A, Corey's desire to play football. B, Corey's refusal to get a job. C, Corey's involvement in politics. D, Corey's decision to join the military. The answer is A, Corey's desire to play football. And this is where they disagreed. That is Troy and Corey. Why? Because Troy didn't succeed as a baseball player, and he kept blaming it on the racial discrimination. But in the real sense of it, he had grown past the age when the recruiters came around to take older players for the major league. And then Corey, his son, was a college football player, and they disagreed on several occasions. So if you read the book, you see things like a strike one or a strike two. So in this case, it was over Corey's desire to play football. That was where they always disagreed. 29. How did Troy survive after leaving home as a teenager? A, he became a farm worker. B, he worked as a traveling musician. C, he resorted to stealing and ended up in prison. D, he joined the military. The answer is C, he resorted to stealing and ended in prison. Remember, Troy went to jail at 18, left his father at 14, got a lady pregnant, that's Leon's mother, at 18, and then he felt in order to care for the baby, he went about stealing, and he was caught, and he ended up in jail. So the answer is C. He resorted to stealing and ended up in prison. 30. What is Bono's main concern about Troy's behavior in the play? A, Troy's drinking habits. B, Troy's conflict with Corey. C, Troy's affair with Alberta. D, Troy's financial struggles. The answer is C, Troy's affair with Alberta. Remember, Troy also had a girlfriend, and he was after her, and the girlfriend had a child in the novel. At the end of the play, his girlfriend had a child called Raynell. So Bono, his friend, felt concerned because he was moving his attention from Rose, his wife, of over 18 years, to his girlfriend, Alberta. 31. What does Bono admire most about Troy? A, his baseball career. B, his determination and work ethic. C, his ability to control his family. D, his financial success. The answer is his determination and work ethic. B, Troy was determined, and he didn't want to be a garbage collector. He wanted to be the truck driver. So at every given time, he worked so hard and was able to speak to his boss, Doe White, that promoted him to become a garbage truck driver. So that was something Bono really admired about him. 32. We are looking at Look Back in Anger by John Osborne. Remember, we'll be exploring all the text for JAM. Your type could have either of these. 32. What is one of the major themes explored in the book Look Back in Anger? A, the struggles of the British working class. B, the struggles of the politicians. C, the decline of religious faith. D, the dangers of war. The answer is A, the struggles of the British working class. Remember, in the play, we had the major character, Jimmy, who was of the lower class, and then his wife, Allison, who was of the upper class. They both got married, and Jimmy was being abusive in the play. So the answer is A, the struggles of the British working class. 33. What major event happens between Jimmy and Allison that intensifies their conflict? A, Allison has a miscarriage. Jimmy loses his job. C, Allison leaves Jimmy for another man. D, Jimmy is arrested. Now, if you look at the list of options here, Jimmy didn't lose his job. He was a candy purveyor. Allison leaves Jimmy for another man. Allison left, but not for another man. Jimmy is arrested. He was never arrested in the play. Of course, Allison has a miscarriage, and that further intensifies their conflict, because when Allison takes him, she didn't even tell her husband she was pregnant until after she has lost the pregnancy. So the answer is A. 34. What role does Helena Charles play in the story? A, she is Allison's cousin and dislikes Jimmy. B, she is Jimmy's childhood friend. C, she is Allison's friend who later becomes Jimmy's lover. D, she is a political figure who influences Jimmy. Remember in the play that Helena Charles was an actress, also from the upper class. She came around to the house, and then, much as she's Allison's friend, she later becomes Jimmy's lover. So that's the answer, C. 35. How does Look Back in Anger reflect kitchen sink realism in its portrayal of domestic life? A, it presents an idealized and wealthy upper-class household. B, it shows the harsh realities of working-class marriage and emotions. C, it avoids domestic issues and focuses on political affairs. D, it romanticizes British history and national pride. Briefly, the kitchen sink realism came before industrialization, and at that time, there were people of the working class, which was after the World War II at that point in time. So as a result, the young men were angry because it was as though they that were working were of the lower class. So you could see this in Jimmy's character. He was always abusive, abused his wife physically, and even hit, when he was playing with Cliff, the ironing board fell on the wife, the iron fell on her hands, and he wasn't even sorry about it. He just continued like nothing happened. So that frustration was, of course, what led to the harsh realities of the working class and how it affected their marriage. So the answer is B. It shows the harsh realities of working class marriage and emotions. 36. How does the meaning of the bear and squirrel game change over the course of the play? A, it turns from a symbol of affection to a reminder of their emotional distance. B, it remains a strong bond that holds Jimmy and Allison together. C, it becomes a public joke that Jimmy shares with Cliff. D, it leads to Allison rejecting Jimmy's love entirely. The answer is A. It turns from a symbol of affection to a reminder of their emotional distance. That's the answer. 37. Okay. What is the major theme in the novel Unexpected Joy at Dawn? A, colonialism. B, environmental conservation. C, migration and identity. D, sickness. The answer is migration and identity. The play was set during the Ghana Must Go crisis under General Muhammadu Buhari's regime, and also when the Ghanaians too came up with a deportation act to send Nigerians out of their country. So there is this migration and search for identity. Migration by Mama Orojo to look for her brother Ni in Ghana. Identity when Ni is not seen as a Yoruba character in the play. Even when it comes to Nigeria, though he has tribal marks, but he cannot speak the Yoruba language. So the answer is C, migration and identity. 38. In what year did the deportation of Ghanaians from Nigeria take place as depicted in the novel? In the year 1983. A, 1967, B, 1984, C, 1985, D, 1983. The answer is 1983. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.